Hi everyone, welcome back to, I guess, another Miraculous Ladybug video. I uploaded one a few months ago and I ranked all the characters on a basis of how much I liked them. It was purely opinion based, but this time I'm going to be doing it again, except I'm going to be ranking them by how well I think they are written and developed, as in from like a writer's perspective, because if you didn't know, I'm a published author, so I guess that makes me a professional, I guess, but you'd be forgiven for not knowing because I frequently forget myself. However, at the end of the day, it's still going to be subjective, down to my opinion, because what one writer thinks is good writing will be different to another writer's. For example, when I did my undergrad, which was in creative writing, we had to read what I think is the worst novella in the world. It's a story called Wildlife. It wasn't very good. No one in the class thought it was good. When we came to the class to talk about the book, our tutors thought it was literally one of the most amazing novellas ever. And we were all like, how? So it's still going to be subjective, so everyone will have different opinions on it, and I won't be ranking every single character. So in the last video I did absolutely every single character that pretty much had a speaking part and was named. For this one, I won't be doing every single character, just because there are a lot of characters in Miraculous, and because it is made for children, they're definitely not going to put the same amount of effort into all the characters who have one or two lines. They just wouldn't. And also Miraculous does have a lot of characters in it that don't serve a lot of function. Their function will just be there for the episode to get akumatized, and further than that, you'll hear them brought up again, like Clara Nightingale for example, but other than that, she's not like a central character. So I'm going to be focusing on the central characters, so Marinette, Adrian and their family, and predominantly their class and the Miraculous holders. However, I won't be talking about their akumas, because the way they are characterised when they get akumatized is very different from who they are just normally. So this is just going to be the base character, I guess, and again, like I said, it's still my opinion of how good I think or don't think these characters are. So yeah, let's start. Okay, so I have gone back to the tier chart I made for the last video, so it's the same one, every single Miraculous Ladybug character. I will leave a link to it down below, and also a card, whichever corner it's in, and a link to the video below that was ranking them on how much I liked them. So keeping the same tiers, so the Miraculous tier, to me these are the best written characters, then the global top 50, then the could do better, and then the is the worst category for today. I've just gone ahead and already put in the Kagami category. Don't ask if you want to know, go and watch the last video. But I've already put in the characters who I won't be ranking, so people like Wayhem, Prince Ali, Santa Claus, who just aren't in it enough for me to be able to give a proper opinion. I don't think it's fair to be able to give an opinion about how well they're written based on one episode, because it is a children's television. If this was an adult television show, or even a young adult television show, I probably would judge them a bit, since I would think at that level each character needs to have something, every character needs to serve a function, which they do serve a function, but because it is a kids show they're not in it a great deal. I didn't think it was fair. So at the bottom are all the characters we're going to be ranking. So the majority of these people, as you can see, are Adrian, Marinette and their class, as well as Master Fu, Master Damocles, a couple of relatives. So we got Chloe's parents, Marinette's parents, Adrian's parents, and a couple of the Kwamis, not all of the Kwamis, for example Paul and Trix and Ways. We don't hear a great deal about them. So again, it's not fair to rank them all. But that's not to say like the other characters they don't serve a function. I think all of the characters in Miraculous do serve a function, and if you want to be a writer, all the decisions you make need to serve some sort of a function, whether it's a line of dialogue, a character, or a setting. What is the function of that? Is there no function to it? Don't just do it because you want to. What's the reason for it? And also, before we start, this video might have to be split into two parts because my internet is shocking, and anytime I try to upload a video that's longer than 20 minutes, the internet essentially says no. So it might be in 2 parts. I will film them one after the other, but it will be in 2 parts. So yeah, let's start. And again, please remember, this is all my opinion. Even if I am arguably a professional writer, all writers do think differently, and I'm gonna try and eliminate some of the bias I have towards my favourite characters, like Adrian and Marinette, and my least favourite characters, like Kagami. So let's start. Okay, so all of these characters, when I uploaded them, I had to name all the files with the pictures, so they're all in alphabetical order, I'm pretty sure. So obviously first is Adrian, but we're not going to do Adrian first, we're going to save until a bit later because I have some things to say about Adrian that I'm not sure everyone will like. So let's start with Alex instead now. Alex. I think Alex is a great character, and not only do I think Alex in her present incarnation is a great character, her older self as Bunnix I think is really strong. We haven't seen a lot of her yet, so some of the other classmates like Julika and Alex and Milan, we haven't heard or seen a great deal from them, but because of how series 3 ended with them knowing the majority of the Miraculous holders, as in Hawkmoth knowing, I do think the other half of the class is going to get their chance to shine, hence why I kept them. So I do think Alex is one of the best characters in Miraculous. She's going to go in the top tier of the Miraculous. I'm so excited to first of all not only see everyone get a different outfit as they grow up, because grown up Alex wears something different to 14-year-old Alex. I think they're 14 right at the minute. So I'm excited for that. I'm just excited for how Bunnix is going to use her powers. I think when you include time travel in anything, for example like in Harry Potter, it does have the potential to open up plot holes. And also again, this is a show for children, so I'm going to be really interested to see how they handle it without confusing people. Because even I found Chat Blanc slightly confusing, and I'm 23. So I'm really interested to see how they're going to do it. I'm interested to see how they're going to bring Alex into it more, and how Marinette ends up giving her the Miraculous. I think Alex is a great character, and they obviously knew what they were going to do with her. She was put there on purpose in the way that she was, with the watch, with the Timebreaker episode and the watch being the Miraculous in disguise. I'm still a bit hazy on it, I don't fully understand honestly, but I think she's going to be really great. I think she's really well written. So next up is Alia. I have a love-hate relationship with Alia. Alia series 1 until the Vulpina episode, I absolutely loved Alia. She was great. It's just anytime Lila's around, and I understand it's to make Marinette feel isolated, that the only person she has is Adrian when she can barely talk to him. However, she does talk to him quite frequently when everyone else is ignoring her and Lila's around. So I understand why it's done. That's the function of Alia, to be Marinette's best friend, apart from when Lila's around. And by the way, just a general note, the dialogue for everyone in Miraculous is really consistent for all the characters. None of them say anything super out of place for them, which I think is something really important. I think, sounds really arrogant, but I think my strongest area as a writer is dialogue. So I'm really happy when people are able to make all the characters sound different. And obviously it's very different because this is a TV show, so you can see them all. But even so, I don't think any of the dialogue is out of place for anyone. So Alia, actually I think she's going in the top tier as well. Honestly, I would say the majority of the Miraculous characters, none of them are particularly awful, but I just think it's interesting to look at them because it is a children's show, but a lot of work has still gone into it. I think a lot of people assume because it's something for kids, a lot of work doesn't go into it. I think there is a huge assumption that less work goes into it because it's for children, and I wish people didn't think that. Even though I don't particularly write for children, my novel is for young adults, I wish people didn't think that. But anyway, yeah, I think Alia's a fairly solid character I mean, other than me disliking the fact that she always like runs to Leela and ignores Marinette and calls Marinette a liar when Lila's around, that's a personal issue that I dislike, and I'm sure the majority of people who watch Miraculous dislike, but it doesn't mean she's a badly written character. The mayor, Chloe's dad. Okay. He is slightly inconsistent sometimes. I mean, I think he's funny. He's probably one of my favourite characters because I think he's hilarious. But I would say he's kind of inconsistent at times. Sometimes you see him being quite a strong character. Then obviously when Audrey comes in, because of the relationship he has with her, she does take charge in the relationship, so he does kind of take a step back. But even when she's not around, he is kind of inconsistent in his personality. So, because I don't think he's terrible. Maybe could do better. I do feel kind of horrible putting him there, because obviously I know my writing has nowhere near been as successful as Thomas Astruc's and everyone behind Miraculous, but at the end of the day we're all still allowed an opinion, you know? And also, if you didn't know, my novel is science fiction and romance, so it's not really similar to Miraculous other than the fact it's about a boy and a girl who fall in love, like Marinette and Adrian in a way. And it's set in London and there's a set in Paris, capital cities. That's about where the comparison ends. So next is Audrey. Do I particularly like her? No, not really. I think she's horrible to Chloe. Do I think she's badly written though? No. I was about to say I think it's a bad thing that she's not likeable, however I don't think she was made to be likeable. She wasn't written to be likeable. She was written for people to dislike her. So, it's tricky when there's a character you don't like. I guess she technically is well written. However, at the same time she's also kind of one-dimensional. But it is also a kids show. I'm gonna put her in the global top 50, I think. I think that's the best place for her because, no, she's not likeable, but I don't think she's supposed to be. And you don't really get to see another side to her though, even though she is well written and fairly consistent throughout. Okay, next, Miss Bustier, Madame Bustier. I think she's a lovely teacher, and even though she's in almost every single episode, you only really get to see her personality in Zombie Zoo, which I guess I understand, yes. When it gets to that character's Akuma episode, that's when you really start to see them. But the personality she shows in Zombie Zoo, I don't feel you get from the rest of the episodes she's in. And it's not as if she's only in 2 other episodes as well as Zombie Zoo. She's in a lot of episodes, isn't she? So I think I'm going to put her with the mayor in the could do better section. It's not that I dislike her, I really like her. I think well, she comes across as a great teacher. We haven't actually seen her do a great deal of teaching, so I don't know how good of a teacher she actually is. So I don't think she's awful by any means. I understand the show is more focused on the children, or rather the teenagers, than the adults in this case, with the exception of Gabriel, I guess. But for a character who's pretty much in every single episode and who's in a fair amount of scenes in comparison to the rest of the adults in the show, she's kind of written a bit oddly. As I'm looking at the rest of the characters now, I don't feel like any of them are going to go in this category, honestly, because I would say for the most part the characters in Miraculous are all pretty solid. So up next, let's do Chloe. Now Chloe. I like Chloe. And I also don't like Chloe. So yeah, she's kind of horrible. I just wish we got to see more of the different sides to her. I'm just praying for like a Chloe redemption arc. She just, maybe it's just her personality because she is kind of, arrogant's not the right word, but she flip-flops back and forth between being ultra mean and like essentially teaming up with Hawkmoth and being not really nice but slightly nicer. And I just feel like, maybe because I've read so many fan fictions, but I just felt like Chloe will be the one to help Marinette really take down Lila. But again, like I said with all the characters, Chloe's dialogue is on point all the time, even when she is upset and you do see her in her more vulnerable moments. This is getting really hard. I would say the global top 50, the second one. Yeah, I think. I just want to see other sides to it. I think that's one of the issues with Miraculous, and there aren't very many issues with Miraculous, to be honest. I think it's a pretty solid TV show. Is that because there are so many characters who don't often get to see the different sides of them. But Chloe is a central character, so whilst I can understand we only get to see Madame Boustier's true personality in Zombie Zoo, which is her episode, Chloe is a main character. Whether you see her as a protagonist, an antagonist, anti-hero, whatever you want to call her, she is a main character at the end of the day. She does get a lot of screen time. She's been akumatized like, what, 3 or 4 times. She is probably responsible for more than 50% of the akumatizations in the show. Single-handedly, well done, Chloe. But I wish we got to see different sides to her. And I think like each Miraculous series is either half a year at school or a full year at school. So I'm assuming as she gets older, we will see that change. I just really want her to have a redemption arc, and I definitely think she'll be on the good side in the fight with Hawkmoth, even if she ends up like turning on him at the last moment if she continues to fight with him. I think Chloe's going to be a really big key part. Okay, now Chris, Nino's little brother. I think Chris, again, like Chloe's going to be super, super, super important. If you'll remember asking if you'll remember, I don't even remember what the name of the episode is. The one where Bunnix and the Louvre and the Time Tagger, that's the name of the episode, thank you Hazel. I thought that was a super, super important episode in like the grand scheme of things. So no, is he likeable? No, I think he's really annoying. And for the most part I do quite like children. He's annoying. So annoying. But I think he's going to become really important. And I wouldn't be surprised if the new Hawkmoth, who I'm assuming is either Leela or Chloe, or maybe Natalie, that could be interesting. I think he's going to be super duper important. But I was kind of wary of ranking him just because we've only seen him twice, right? Less than 5 times really. But I feel like the Time Tagger episode was really important. So even though we didn't see a great deal of him, I'm going to put him in the could do better, with the assumption that later on in the show he's going to become really important. Okay, so I think now we got into the swing of things, we're going to look at Adrian. Now, I love Adrian. I think he's probably one of my favourite characters apart from Mr. Banana. So when Adrian was in the Mr. Banana costume, my dreams came true. But he's not very well written, which is weird because I've heard on Twitter that Adrian is literally the favourite characters of the Miraculous Ladybug production team. But he's not one of the best considering he's one of the main characters. Now if you don't really think about it too much, which I didn't when I first started watching Miraculous, Adrian comes across as the best character because, you know, he's incredibly nice, he never does anything wrong, he's very clever, he's very talented, he's kind to pretty much everyone including Lila. He's essentially the Mary Sue of Miraculous. He hasn't really got much going for him. If we take away his dad and Natalie and whatever it is they're doing, as well as Marinette likes him, Chloe likes him and Lila likes him, if we take all that away and he's not a model, he doesn't do fencing, and he's not rich with this tragic backstory with his mum, he's really boring, if you really think about it. The most interesting things about Adrian have really got nothing to do with him. Well, I guess they do have things to do with him, because obviously Marinette and co don't just like him because of his face, they like him because of who he is as a person, arguably. Not that Marinette would really know what Adrian's like since she doesn't talk to him, but the most interesting things about Adrian are things that happen to him, which I guess isn't a massive negative. It's a good thing he has all these interesting things going on, but when we get to Marinette later, she has interesting things happen to her, but she's also an interesting character, whereas Adrian is really boring. and has just really loads of interesting things happen to him. Which isn't, like I said, completely negative, but I mean obviously they wouldn't write a TV show about someone where nothing happens to them, obviously. But if Adrian was the primary main character, if Marinette wasn't there to add some clumsy spice to it, I think the show would be kind of boring, to be honest. He's lovely, I love him to bits, but he's such a Mary Sue. Like, when he's a Chat Noir, we do get to see another side to him, which is a plus point for him. However, I feel with Marinette, which we'll talk about more later when we actually get to Marinette, when you see her as Ladybug, and she's obviously more in charge, she's not as anxious and nervous and shy or whatever, you also get to see Ladybug moments as Marinette. I've seen the entirety of Miraculous Ladybug 3 times, and I cannot think, and I cannot remember for the life of me any times where Adrian's had a Chat Noir moment as himself. So whilst I think he's great at Chat Noir, I just want to see more, a different side to him. Like, this is probably going to sound a bit weird, but I was really happy. I think it's in Catalyst, the first of the series 2 finale episodes, when they're in the school courtyard, all the red butterflies fly in, and Adrian grabs Marinette and like rolls her over, and he looks really angry. And I was like, yes! I just want him to show more emotion than what he does. You know, like, there are moments, yeah, when he looks like he's gonna say something to his dad, but he ultimately doesn't. I don't get why, because he has a means to escape. He can leave a Chat Noir. You know, another good episode for him was Santa Claus. Apart from the questionable singing, he showed some emotion other than kind of, I don't know how to describe him. He just kind of is kind of passive and just does what people say, which I guess arguably has been influenced by how his dad has treated him over the years. He just kind of has to go with it. But now he has the Black Cat Miraculous. He can escape and do what he wants whenever he wants, really. I guess I just wish we'd see more of the real Adrian, because I think the real character of Adrian, I think it lies kind of halfway between his personality as Adrian and halfway between his personality as Chat Noir. It's somewhere in the middle. But we haven't seen it yet. Like, I think we've seen glimpses of who Marinette really is inside. She just needs to get over her anxiety to be able to be who she is, which 100% I relate to. But I don't think we've seen that in Adrian yet, and I hope it's to come, because I do love him. It's not, well, it is a criticism. I was about to say it's not criticism, it is a criticism. But I guess because I like him so much, I want the best for him. I was about to say it's not his fault. Of course it's not his fault, because he's not a real person, Hazel. But I definitely do wish we got to see a different side to him and get to see him elicit more emotion, because him being passive all the time and only really smiling at people, it's not that interesting. It does kind of make for an interesting dynamic in, I guess, what was supposed to be the series 3 finale, where he tells Leela to back off from Marinette, and he wasn't even looking at Leela, you know, they were sat side by side, and he was like, if I'm gonna do this with you, you've got to do something for me. That might be like his brand of Adrian Agreste style manipulation, I don't know. But honestly, I was really happy at that moment, because he was doing something different. He just does the same things over and over again. And if there weren't so many characters in this show, it would run the risk of coming across as really boring. And whilst here I do think it is a bit boring, because there are so many other characters and because Marinette is so interesting, no one else has really noticed it, I don't think anyway. Not that I've heard of. So please don't hate me. I do still love Adrian. I just think he could do better, unfortunately. In my last video, the ranking them by how much I like them, he was in the Miraculous category. I love him to bits. Could you just please show us some more emotion? You're so boring. Right, okay, Mr. Damocles, hands down, the worst head teacher apart from maybe Snape when he took over Hogwarts. But he's pretty awful, if you really think about it. He lets, first of all, children run around in a school and make a short film with no adult supervision. Like, I don't know what, like, child supervision laws are like in France, but we shouldn't let them do that. That would not fly in my high school. I used to stay after school quite a bit and help out with stuff, and I've never been left alone for more than a minute without a teacher, so... And also just letting Chloe's dad bribe him. He's just like, oh, okay, I'm gonna have to suspend Alia in the Lady Wi-Fi episode because Chloe's dad said so, or because Chloe said so, you know. He's a terrible head teacher. Dark Owl is a phenomenal episode. I think he's great. He's not in it a great deal, so there isn't a lot to judge him on, hence why I was kind of wary about putting him in here. I think he's a fairly solid character. I think we'll put him in the global top 50 just because we haven't seen a great deal of the different sides to him. But I do think Dark Owl, and I'm pretty sure we've seen his Dark Owl persona on more than one outing, even without being akumatized, shows him a good dynamic side, but it's a noticeable dynamic side. Like Madame Bustier, she has that one side of her we see in Zombie Zoo, and then we never see it again pretty much. Whereas we have seen the Dark Owl side to Mr. Damocles several times now. So so that's why he's higher than Madame Bustier. So even though we've seen Madame Bustier a lot more than Mr. Damocles, I think he's a lot better written. Probably because the writers like him more. I think you can tell usually when you read or watch something who the writer or writers liked the most. Which is weird because I heard that Adrian is like the writer's favourite character and they don't like Marinette very much. Just what I heard, I don't know if that's true. But arguably I think Marinette's a lot better than Adrian, but we'll get to that when we get to Marinette. So next up is Master Fu. A certified cutie pie. I love him to bits. Not as much as Adrian, but I do love him. Series 3 finale was so sad. I sat and cried in the university library on the silent floor, not allowed to make any noise. It was 20 minutes before I had to go to work. It broke my heart. A lot of Series 3 broke my heart, not gonna lie. I had to watch the finale in Ukrainian. Can I speak a word of Ukrainian? No. I still watched it without the subtitles on because I was just desperate to find out what happened. But Master Fu, I think he is pretty well written, to be honest. I don't think I particularly have any criticisms of him, other than the fact I'm a bit confused as to why he picked two 13-year-olds for the Miraculous holder, because I have the same issue with Harry Potter in that I never think there's enough emphasis on how difficult doing the stuff they have to do at the age they are would be. Not that it would be easier for an adult, but I think it would be less pressure on an adult to defeat Voldemort or to go after Hawkmoth. I think I definitely would have liked to have seen, obviously I don't think Master Fu's going to be in it anymore now, which is sad times, but I would like to have seen him, if not with both Adrian and Marinette, just with Marinette, because obviously they have a much closer relationship. I would have liked to have seen him really talk to Marinette and see how she's feeling, because we never really get to see how stressed her or Adrian are with the responsibility they've been given. And it's a huge responsibility, it's not as if it's something small. And I think that could have been a really poignant moment if it had happened towards the end of Series 3 before he lost his memory. Because who's Marinette going to turn to now? She can't, because everyone knows Alia is Reina Rouge, everyone knows Nino and Kim and Kagami and Luca and Max. Chloe's on the other side now, and I don't think Marinette would have wanted to talk to her anyway. And she doesn't know who Chat Noir is. And I'm not sure she feels comfortable enough with Chat Noir on a friend basis without knowing who he is to confide in him how she feels. So even though at the end of the day, yes, it is a kids show, I think it would have been really interesting to see them have that kind of conversation. And I'm really interested to see how it's going to be with Marinette being the new guardian, having really no one to turn to. Because she's got no one she can talk to about this. Yeah, she can talk to her friends and her parents about schoolwork and the stress she's feeling there. Well, who's she going to talk to about being the stress of having to save the entirety of Palace on the Rex? Absolutely no one. So, I guess I'd put him in the global top 50 for that reason. Because another aspect of character is the relationships they have with other people. And I think, whilst they did impress upon the importance of Marinette's relationship with Master Fu, I don't think they did it quite enough. So up next is the one, the only, Mr. Gabriel Agreste. I guess another thing with characters understanding their motivations. I 100% understand his motivations for wanting to get the Miraculouses. I get that. I see where you're coming from. And I understand why he akumatizes people to try and get them. I'm not faulting that. However, I don't really understand why he has such a poor relationship with Adrian. I can maybe understand if he looks quite like his mother, which I kind of can see a resemblance. I'm autistic, I'm really bad at seeing resemblances, even between cartoon characters. So I can understand why it might be hard for him to interact with Adrian if he bears such a similar resemblance. But I do find it odd that he does kind of ignore him. I can understand why he doesn't give Adrian freedom because he wants to protect him, but I don't understand why he ignores him essentially. It's just a bit odd. Also, another thing I do not understand, maybe I just need to go and rewatch the episode, but I do not understand why he's so insistent on going after Marinette. He has no idea she's Ladybug, I'm pretty sure. He has no idea. So other than Lila's urging, like, if my niece came up to me and was like, oh, we gotta get this girl at the park, I'd be like, okay, why though? I wouldn't say yes, like, oh yeah, let's go after this other child because you said so, you're 2 years old. But I'd want to know why, and I just can't remember the reasoning why Lila was like, oh yeah, we have to go over Marinette because she fancies your son and we can't have that. Shame on her. I just don't get it. Why is he like, yeah, let's go after her? Is it to get to Adrian? I'm really not sure. I think it's odd motivation for that. I think the motivation with the overall storyline of the Akumas and his wife is solid. But that part? Why? It's just odd that he actually will go along with it. Like, Lila's 14 years old. He's 30. Gabriel's in his, what, his 30s, his 40s? Why is he listening to this 14-year-old? Like, I don't know. I think for that reason, let's put him in the global top 50. Because I was about to say he's not a bad character. He's an evil character, but in terms of how he's written, he's not bad, really. No, I wouldn't describe him as bad. Okay, next up we have the gorilla. And I feel bad for calling them a gorilla because I wish he actually had a name. But I think he's a solid character. I think he's there for Adrian. He doesn't interact with very many people, but you know, he's got Adrian's back. I think he's great, especially since he only has his face and grunts to express himself. I think he's a really well written character. He's in the Miraculous category. I wish we get to see him interact with Adrian more actually. I really thoroughly enjoyed his scenes in Shot Blank. Then we have Ivan. Again, Ivan's a bit like Alex, we haven't heard much from him because I'm assuming he's going to be given a Miraculous, probably the Ox Miraculous, which I kind of want to see Marinette's dad with, not gonna lie. So we're going to see more from him. At the minute, Ivan's probably one of my least favourite members of Marinette's class, but I think he's going to come into play, and you know, he had such a big storyline. He's the person who gets akumatized in the Origins episode. I don't think we can forget Ivan. But saying that, even though he was akumatized in that first episode, to me it was like signalling this person's important. I hope they're going to do something with this to reflect that first episode, or not the first episode because the bubble is the first episode, but the origin of Ladybug and Chat Noir. I hope they're going to do something to reflect that later on. But considering how important he is, he hasn't really done much since. The only other role he's had has been in Horrificator. So I'm going to put him in the could do better, with the expectation he will do better when he gets Miraculous in probably the next 2 series. Okay, so I'm going to stop there for part 1 and I'm going to do everyone else in part 2. So it'll be up soon after this one. So, bye!